Okay, we're about ready to go. Before I introduce the group, I'd like to bring up a couple of events coming up that you can put on your calendar if you don't already have it there. Sunday, April 26th at 4 p.m., this is going to be at St. Margaret's Church, the PalmDesert Community Presbyterian Church Choir, and also the Second Missionary Baptist Church Choir of Indio will be participating in the concert. We'll be the only two choirs, and there'll be some soloists there. That's at 4 p.m. Sunday, April 26th. Come support our choir right here at that event. Should be a nice afternoon of sacred choral music. It'll be praise to God. It will be a wonderful event. And then also, coming up on Friday, March is almost gone. May the 1st, I wanted to bring to your attention our annual ice cream social here down in the Spec Center. That is our fundraiser for our music program. The choir will be participating and also soloists. It's kind of a talent show, so if anyone wants to participate, please let me know. Put that on your calendar. Ice cream will be served. That's a $10 admission charge there. Well, we are pleased to have the Westmont College Choir and Chamber Singers. They made the trip a 4-hour drive, and that turned into about a 6-hour drive, I think, or 6.5 due to accident on the road. But do we have any Westmont College people here in attendance today? There's a few hands. All right, and we have some Santa Barbara residents too. So glad you're here. Well, without much further ado, I'd like to introduce the Westmont College Choir under the direction of Dr. Michael Schasberger. Please give him a warm welcome.
find much more than they bargained for in their pilgrimage, but find the source of their faith and the real meaning of community. And in this prayer, they sing it together, which says, even before we heard the voice of God, he was with us. Even before we called on your name, you heard our prayer.
this is working real good. I want to tell a little story about this next piece. It's the last piece before our chamber singers will come out, and during the break between the two choirs, one of our instrumentalists, Megan Wong, is with us to play a piece with the choir in the second half, and she's going to come play an offertory on the viola. You all ready, Megan? Good, she's smiling, so it's okay. But this final piece of this set of the choirs is a piece called The Grandeur of God. And if there are any real poetry lovers in the audience, you already know about this piece because it's set to the Gerard Manley Hopkins text, The Grandeur of God. And Benjamin Britten is the composer. Britten was a great fan of great poetry and loved Hopkins' work in particular. And he wrote a whole set of songs for choir. He called it the AMDG, Alma Dei Gloriam, the All to the Greater Glory of God. It's the translation from the Latin acronym. And these songs are incredibly passionate, songs about devotion and love of our Lord. This particular one speaks of the incredible majesty of God. Now, perhaps you won't catch every word in the text, but let me outline it for you so you can hang on to the big building blocks. The opening text, the world is charged with the grandeur of God. And that comes back around all through the text, in the beginning, in the middle, and finally at the end as the voices enter from all corners with this over and over little round of the world is charged with the grandeur of God. But then Hopkins goes on to tell us what he means by that. He means that we find the grandeur of God in the everyday footsteps of His creation in us. And so we hear the words footfall being trod, being shod, our feet walking on the earth. We see the grandeur of God in the shining of shook foil. And the sopranos get to sing that up on a high A. So listen to that. We get to see the grandeur of God, and this is my very favorite one. In fact, I'll ask the choir to sing the note they sing this word on. In the ooze of oil crushed. Choir, would you just sing crushed one? In the middle of this. And we see this brooding world with feet falling and oil crushing and shook foil shining and all the things that challenge us in reality. And then at the end, Hopkins has this wonderful line, and over all of this bent world broods the Holy Ghost with bright wings, watching over and caring for us and for all of creation. And the choir comes back in with the refrain, and the world is charged with the grandeur of God. Now, the fun thing about this is that Benjamin Britten wrote these songs during World War II. Britten came over to the United States during World War II to avoid the conflict in England. His friends encouraged him to leave the country to be where he was safe. And so he took a boat over, and on the boat over he wrote a birthday tribute on the poetry of another great poet, and gave that to a friend. But he was in the States for a few months and he realized he couldn't stay. He had to be back in England to face the war with his countrymen. And so he took the boat back with the U-boats and the German submarines all around, and he wrote songs of his faith and of his confidence to the poems of Gerard Manley Hopkins on the boat on the way back to England. And this is one of those that he said. When he got to England, he realized that he had written out of the very depths of his soul. He'd written songs so hard that no choir could sing them. So he never published them. He hid them away. Until about 10 years after his death, a friend of his found them, pulled them out, and published them into this set, the AMDG. We're not going to sing the whole set because it's a lot of work, but we're going to sing this wonderful setting of the Hopkins poem, The World is Charged with the Grandeur of God.
The world is charged with the grandeur of God, 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 with the grandeur of God. It gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil. The world is charged. Generations have charged. Is charged. Is charged. Is charged.
our chamber singers will organize and come back and sing a very diverse and lovely program for you. And we'll return with the large choir with some wonderful American music, some settings of psalms, and some really inspirational music from the African American choral tradition as well. Be right back. Thank you so much.
We're going to take a free will offering at this point. We would like to contribute to the Westmont music program, so your contributions will be greatly appreciated. You may do cash, you may do check. If you already made your check to PalmDesert Community Presbyterian Church, that's okay too. You also may make it to Westmont College and just write music on that check too. So, ushers, will you come forward? Thank you very much.
Good evening. Ah, that's a great reception. Walk to the microphone. My name is Gray Brothers, and I'm here with the chamber singers, who are all drawn from the college choir. You may remember some of these faces. We're just here in the big group. And the chamber singers is one of the smaller chamber ensembles that we have at Westmont. The other is New Sounds, which sings vocal jazz and world music. But this group sings more traditional repertoire for a small ensemble, and it took us a moment. We're still getting ourselves settled because, like the college choir, we were not in the church before the program either, so we're trying out the space right now before your eyes, but I think it will work well. We'd like to begin with a piece of sacred music from the early 17th century by Orlando Gibbons, English composer, composed in the Chapel Royal, the Royal Chapel in England. There are lots of church music, and this is a wonderful little gem by him. Oh, you know, I might as well, so I don't talk too much, I might as well tell you that following this piece, we will do a set of 2 songs to be sung in the open air by Felix Mendelssohn. And you may know that this year marks the 200th anniversary of his birth, so a lot of groups are doing Mendelssohn this year in honor of him. So we'll do our little part. So Mendelssohn will follow Orlando Gibbons. You'll find the translation for the Mendelssohn in the program.
Thanks very much. Those were two songs by Mendelssohn. The next two are not by the same composer, but I've grouped them together as two love songs, my own little set that I didn't write. But Thomas Morley is one of the great madrigal composers from 16th century England. And how many people might have sung madrigals at some time in their lives? A few? You very well might have sung this particular piece because it's a classic English madrigal. April is in my mistress' face. And the music really responds to the text in a big way. So listen for that. And the next piece is another sort of a madrigal, but written by a composer, two of whose works you've already heard this evening, Bob Chilcott. Bob Chilcott sang in the King's College Choir. You may have heard of before. They're very famous for a ceremony of lessons and carols that they perform at King's College, Cambridge, every year. He also sang in a group called the King's Singers, which is a small group of a male group, and he's beyond that now, but he's composing lots of great music, and this is his My True Love. So two love songs, one from old England and the other from today's England.
April is in my mistress' face.
like to turn to a piece of sacred music that's a setting of a wonderful piece of poetry, and I'd like to just share a bit of that with you since it's not printed in the program. Christ Hath a Garden. And by the way, Eleanor Daly is quite a prolific sacred music composer these days. A wonderful composer who is published by Oxford University Press, which is an esteemed organization. And this is a piece that I just came across this summer and thought was beautiful, so I'd like to share it with you. The poem is by Robert Bridges. Christ hath a garden walled around, a paradise of fruitful ground, chosen by love and fenced by grace from out the world's wide wilderness. Like trees of spice his servants stand, there planted by his mighty hand, by Eden's gracious streams that flow to feed their beauty where they grow. Awake, O wind of heaven, and bear their sweetest perfume through the air. Stir up, O south, the boughs that bloom till the beloved Master come, that he may come and linger yet among the trees that he hath set, that he may evermore be seen to walk amid the springing green. Finish with two pieces. One is a favorite spiritual. I say favorite because I see it in so many choral settings. This is quite an inventive one. It has an echo that occurs that's really wonderful. Steal Away. And then the last song is a lot of fun for us to sing, and I hope it's fun to listen to too. It tells a story. Perhaps you know the story. Oh no, John. How many people have seen the musical Oklahoma? So we know about the girl who can't say no, right? This is just the opposite. This is a girl who can only say no, but things work out well in the end for everybody.
Our campus pastor, Ben Patterson, just finished a book entitled Praying the Psalms, and they're wonderful exposés of each psalm text and how we can use them in contemporary life and situations. Psalm 42 is one that speaks to our entire range of devotion and emotion. In this wonderful psalm, like as the doe longs for running streams, so longs my soul for you, O God. And it asks, why are you downcast, my soul? There is so much joy in the Lord. Listen to both sides of that petition, plea, and realization of our true hope and joy.
Long
chamber singers are rejoining us. I thought they deserved a 5-minute intermission themselves. But they're back with us. We're bringing our violist with us on this trip, Megan Wong, because we have this wonderful song to share with you. Written by a contemporary American composer, For the Sake of Our Children, is an anthem for peace and reconciliation in the world. It's a powerful setting that is full of hope, but full of the reality of the world also, all imbued through it. The ideas of peace and hope permeate the text, but at the same time there are those cries for, Lord, where are you in the midst of our difficulty? In the midst of it, there are two Latin refrains that the inner voices of the choir sing, while the outer voices of the choir sing the message of the piece. And those are taken from ancient Latin chants, 9th, 8th century parts of the Latin liturgy. And in the one, it's mors et vita duello, life and death duel in this world. And we know that the hope of the resurrection and the promise of the cross allows that life will win in our lives. But that's what those underpinnings of sort of rumbling chant are. The viola has beautiful melodies on top, the piano supports it, and then there's an urgency of the African drumming tradition in the midst of all of it. Jeffrey Ames has poured 9th century Latin chant, contemporary African drumming, beautiful choral writing, a soaring viola melody, and this beautiful piano accompaniment, all under this one beautiful anthem of peace and hope for the sake of our children.
there be peace in the Americas.
Be merciful to Jews.
Let there be peace throughout the world.
For the sake of our children.
The call for peace comes from many traditions. One of the early American traditions that spoke profoundly on this were the Shakers. Well, the Shakers, if you know their heritage, gathered in Christian community and lived in Christian community in several places from Kentucky to the east. They were a thriving and vigorous Christian fellowship and lived in community together and supported their worship life and their life of expression in song. This next piece is a Shaker song based. Kevin Siegfried is the arranger. Simply Peace Unto Zion. The one little problem that the Shakers had is they were really devout, and one of their principles was celibacy, and they were really good at it. And they don't exist anymore. So be fruitful and multiply, they kind of left that aside. But they were really good at the other. But they did leave us a wonderful legacy of song, and we're pleased to share this beautiful hymn, Peace Unto Zion.